Right now, I know things are probably pretty hard for you. And if it's not, then awesome. Then feel blessed that maybe right now you're not having an issue. But I know for a lot of us, it's looking really heavy in how our money is going to be spent in our lives in the next couple of years. And also, you may have been furloughed for the last month or month and a half, however long it's been, or your benefits have been cut, and you're really trying to figure out how you're going to stretch the money that you have. And I want to help you walk through a couple of ways that dehydrating can help save you money in the long run and in the short term and in the future, so that you can use the money that you have now on the things that you need, and then feed your family well on the things that you can have. So let me share some of the ways that I do it so that you can know how I make this happen in my daily life all the time. I'm Darcy from the Purposeful Pantry, and I want to teach you how I save money with dehydrating. That's what I do. I want to be your dehydrating BFF. So to start off with, you do need a dehydrator to do this. Now, I know that you may not have much money or you don't have one. You can use your oven, but that will cost you more in electricity in the long run because it costs more to run your oven than it does to run a dehydrator. So a quick tip, go to a thrift store and go look at dehydrators there. Sometimes they are only $5. Sometimes they may be $20, but that's still cheaper than going and buying one, off of Amazon or from Walmart or anything like that. The other thing that you can do also is talk to your neighbors and friends and family to see if somebody has one they're not using. Oftentimes people will buy a kitchen appliance because it's trendy or they think it's going to be fun, and they use it and then decide they don't like it. Now, a dehydrator can cost you anywhere from 75 cents to like $2 a day, depending on where you live and the electric rates you have. So it's good to check into that first. But for me, it costs about $1 a day to run it for a full 24 hours full of food, which sometimes I can do 2 or 3 runs in, depending on the food that's going in there. So $30 a month to run the electricity. You have to budget that into what you're doing. But for me, I budget that into my food supply because it's the thing that puts food on the pantry shelf for me. So I budget for that every month, knowing that we're going to spend a little bit of extra money on electricity in order to put all of this food that you're going to see right here on the pantry shelf all year long, so that I can have great food for my family that feeds them well and gives them lots of great nutrition. So there's that. So the first way that dehydrating can help save you money is from food waste. Americans spend so much money on food and turn around and throw so much of it into the trash. I will put the actual number right here, but my remembrance is the last time I saw it, almost 40% of what people buy ends up in the trash. So if you can take food that's in your refrigerator that is a fruit or vegetable that you're going to throw away and put it in a dehydrator instead, you can save that food to use for another meal down the road or to use as a snack, and you haven't wasted that food at all. Now, I know that I tend to overbuy things when I'm thinking ahead and going, I'm going to have this meal, this meal, this meal, and this meal, and then sometimes those don't actually happen. I may buy more than I actually needed, so I will take that food and throw it into the freezer. Almost always I do it without prepping it. Now, not everything. Some things need to get chopped up or some things need to be blanched a little bit. But for the most part, even broccoli, which I don't have the broccoli bag out here. This is a frozen one. But just pretend like this is broccoli that I bought in a cellophane bag because I couldn't get the heads. I will toss that in the freezer because I know eventually that's probably going to end up in my dehydrator, and I'm not going to worry about the prep for it at this point. It's going in the freezer. But if I can do that and then take those foods when I'm ready, when I have time to actually dry them, I can then make a food that goes on my pantry shelf that I didn't have to waste at all, because that will then become an ingredient for what goes into my meals every day. So stopping food waste is the biggest thing. Create those single ingredients from the foods that you're about to throw away. That's the best way that you can do this. And then use those down the road. Don't just let them sit there and look pretty, because they're just going to go to waste. Use the food that you put up. So the next thing is to make the most out of the sales that do happen at your grocery store or at a farmer's market or wherever you get your food. But I take advantage of sales. So when frozen foods go on sale, I buy bags and bags of frozen vegetables. Whether I buy a soup mix, I buy onions, I buy broccoli, I buy corn, I buy hash browns. I buy so many things that are on sale. Usually sometime in March is when the bigger sale is, but during the year they'll also have them. I will buy as much frozen food as I can fit in the space that I have designated for it in my freezer that I do for stock up in order to dry, or something that I can get dried reasonably quickly in my dehydrator. So the thing about that food is that it came from the farm, was picked and taken right to the processor to freeze. That it happens that quickly, within a day, so that the nutrients are still all in the food. Compared to when food has to get shipped across the country or across the world, stored in a warehouse for a while before it ever makes it to the shelf or the bin in your grocery store, you've already lost quite a bit of the nutrients in that food, and sometimes even the flavor, because it starts to not taste great. So when it's on sale and I can get it, I will much more gladly buy frozen food to dehydrate than I will fresh. But if it's on sale and it's in season, then I will stock up at that point. Also, I do take advantage of discounted produce. Now, granted, that produce has been on the shelf for a couple of days and it's ready to go because they can't, they need to get it out. It's not going to be good for long. But I will still take advantage of that because while it may not be the freshest, it's still food that's going to feed my family and it's cheap. So I will do that. So oftentimes I will get bags of greens like this that are marked down to about $1 to $1.50 for the really big bags. And I will come home and get as much as I know that I can do in a day or so and get them all dried. I keep jars of greens just like this that I can then take a handful and add it to any meal that we're cooking. I can grind it up really small and add it to eggs. I can put it in a soup that I'm doing. I can put it in a meatloaf. I can put it in any kind of stovetop preparation that I'm doing. So I will have a lot of this, and I will also grind it up into a powder in order to add to everything that I can add extra nutrients in when my family doesn't know that they're getting greens, because my family refuses to eat greens. What this won't do is rehydrate to make it a salad. Okay, so you can't do spinach and have it as a salad later, but it does add extra nutrition to every meal that we do because you're adding greens to everything. Now, the other thing that we do is I buy vegetables and fruit in order to make snacks, because buying snacks gets so expensive, and buying dried fruit from the store is super expensive. If I can make it myself, especially if I can get the produce on sale and then I can make that snack for myself, that saves so much money. So a couple of things that we do. Apples are one of our favorite snacks. So I dry apples all year long, all the time. Even if I can't get the apples on sale, I will still dry them, because then we're not buying apples from the store to do, to spend more on dried apples that way. This particular batch is a batch that I have flavored with gelatin and other flavorings that I will leave in the iCards and in the description box below about how I do this. But sometimes I just do it plain, just an apple, just like it is. I don't do anything to it. Sometimes I add cinnamon, and sometimes I chop them up in order to dry so I can have them in oatmeal or in a bread later. But for the snacking thing, this settles my sweet tooth. Oftentimes, if I'm getting a craving for something sweet, I'll go get a few slices of apples and eat them. And the benefit is I'm getting the extra fiber, I'm getting all the nutrients from the apple, and it's a great flavor, and I'm not filling my body with junk food that is not going to serve me nutritionally. But it also just gives me that craving of just the snack, okay? The other thing that I will do, and I don't have any right now because I've eaten them all, and I didn't prepare for the end of summer to get enough ready for me, is that I will take a zucchini and slice it super thin and put seasonings on it. Barbecue sauce, taco seasoning, any kind of seasonings that I can get, and I will make potato chips out of them. Okay, not potato chips, but they taste a lot like a Lay's. They're not exactly like a Lay's potato chip, but they come really close. But the crunch, the flavor, the whole texture thing, it works so well for me that I don't have to buy potato chips for snacking or for like a side dish for a meal. So I do that a lot. I will also leave a video for that up in the iCards and down in the description box below. Another thing that I like to do is make our own seasoning salts or seasonings for popcorn. We do pickles. We'll dry pickles and grind them up, and they're salty enough and have that pickle flavor that putting on popcorn makes my family really happy. They love that. I will do other seasoning blends like this, which is a rosemary salt that can be put on popcorn in order to be able to have cheaper popcorn that we can pop ourselves, don't have all the extra chemicals in it, don't have all the extra salt, and don't have all the extra fats associated with popcorn. We can have a much healthier version that feeds us better nutritionally and still gives us this flavor boost that we love. We do this, and there is a mushroom salt that I do like this that I will put up in a video right here in the iCards down in the description box, and it will be at the end of this video how I do these salts. And you can do these from fresh or dehydrated ingredients, because my mushroom salt is made from dehydrated mushrooms. Okay, another way that dehydrating food can help you is with convenience foods. Now, every convenience food that's made in the sun can't always be replicated at home. There's some like, Velveeta is not something that's going to be easily replicated at home. It's not something I buy but for once a year to make one particular dish that I make for my dad, that my mom used to make for big football games for the Cowboys. But we haven't been to Super Bowl for a very long time, so it's been a very long time since I made that snack. But for the most part, soup mixes you can do yourself. You don't have to go buy the soup mixes from the store. One that I always think about is onion soup mix. It's expensive to buy in those little packages, plus all of the packaging is a big waste. So if for the same price as a box or two of onion soup mix can make me enough onion soup mix to fill this jar that will get me through many, many meals, I would rather do that off the foods that I have in the pantry already, that I can go ahead and make that soup mix really quickly and then have it ready to go. Alternatively, I can make a full soup on the shelf all the time. That doesn't have to be canned. This is a taco soup mix that I make, that I dry, that I make for me, because some of the folks in our family don't really like soups. But this is a staple meal for me, that if I'm ready for a meal that I don't want to have what they're having, I can make this up for me, or I have it for lunches often. And so I have this convenience food of not having to buy a canned soup, not having to buy the really expensive prepped dry mixes like this that you get from places. I can just do it myself. It's got all of the ingredients I need except for some water or broth. I can put it on the stovetop, pour it in, let it simmer till I'm ready to eat it, and then I've got a meal ready to go. But I didn't have to spend the big money on a pre-done mix at a grocery store. You can do this with a lot of mixes like that. You can also make your own shelf-stable cream of something soup mix. I've got a recipe for that down, and I'll have like a whole list of them down in the description box. That will allow you to make your own cream of mushroom soup, and you can alter it to make cream of celery or whatever. You can make a lot of your own seasoning blends that you don't have to go spend the big money that you do at the grocery store, but I can make, like right here, I've got a jalapeno salt that we make for my son who loves adding this to his ramen. Then I have done a generic herb mix like this that's a lot like Mrs. Dash that I can make for a fraction of the cost of what Mrs. Dash makes costs for a much bigger quantity. Actually, what I should say is the same price but for a much bigger quantity, and it's got ingredients that we want in it. So you can make all kinds of convenience foods that are so much less expensive than what you can get at the grocery store. So that is another way that you can save money, because once you kind of get in the habit of replacing those foods and you know how to do it well, that you can save a lot of money that way. Now, on the line of convenience foods, for those of you who are hikers, backpackers, campers, or like to have emergency meals put in emergency packs for whatever you need them for, having these same kind of meals already done but then put in a Mylar bag will save you a ton of money, especially based on the price of those emergency meals that you can usually get from the emergency food or camping companies that charge a lot of money for a lot of meals that sometimes are just really high carb and a lot of salt. So you can make your own meals and then put them in those bags. In fact, you can also like create a tomato sauce macaroni. Okay, I'm gonna take that one as a really easy way to do it. You can make that meal for your family, double it or triple it even, dehydrate the excess and store it. And that is a meal ready for a time that you might need it for camping, if you want to take it out hiking, or to put in an emergency pack. The only thing I recommend is that you don't put meat in it. And just add more vegetables to it to make it bulkier, because meat is not reliably shelf stable on your pantry shelf, because it can go rancid over time. So do it without the meat. And then if you want to buy some freeze-dried meat to take with you to add to it, you can do that. But even without the meat, it's fine. And you can take those kind of meals, create them, and then create your own convenience foods on the shelf that you can use anytime as well. One of the biggest things that can also help save you money on, especially if your family is really busy or that you really rely on a lot of fast food because your life just doesn't allow you to make a meal to take with you. These meals in a jar like this are perfect for doing quick meals that you can have on the stove while your family's going crazy getting sports gear ready for the night, getting homework done, doing all that kind of stuff. If you can have a meal like this in a stock pot on your stovetop, simmering for I probably didn't spend more than $3 on this, plus the 4 other jars that I make at the same time when I do this, and make enough soup for everybody for the night. As opposed to the $60, $70, or $80 it would cost me to feed my family going through a drive-through. That saves a ton of money. And frankly, this tastes better than much of the fast food that's out there on the market now. So right now, I'm going to put a video right here on how to make the flavored salts that I showed you a minute ago that can flavor things, not just popcorn, but they can be for dry rubs. They can be for just for seasoning your foods. You can use them in all sorts of ways, but they have a flavor that is great, and they're so much cheaper than buying those like little tiny flavored salt things that you can get from the grocery store that are so expensive, or from specialty culinary shops. I'll put that video right here for you to watch. And then right here is going to be a video on how to dehydrate food in general. I'm going to walk you through the beginning to the end of how to dehydrate foods. So until I see you next time, keep preserving. Remember that nevertheless, she preserves no matter what's going on. Take care of each other, and I hope you save a lot of money with this. I'll see you later.